Hey guys, sorry to be putting out another video. I'm 95% sure is the last one. And I just wanted to go over some comments I received in defense of THJ and kind of share some final, settling of the thoughts, the percolation. Finally, my perspective came clear. When I first got pushback about being aggressive toward THJ, I had no idea that I was at all. But that pushback made me think about it kind of like well, like, because it was so in defense of THJ. That I was like, well, it makes me want to highlight what they did wrong. And so that's why my videos have gone even more in that direction, I guess, because it really brought it to the forefront of my mind. So, anyway, let's see here. I'm trying to be more organized in this video. So, one of the first points to consider when we're talking about THJ and that people brought up in defense of THJ in response to the RMT, the real money trade, is that they said it was a very, very small, minute amount. Let me see if I could even find the comment in particular. Alright, so here we have Razman99. I think I've seen him around quite a bit. He's a good guy. He asks, I was under the impression THJ just took donations, not straight up RMT. Doesn't P99 have a donation tab on their main page also? So this is the first thing, the biggest accusation against THJ that separates it from other emulators is that they're taking real money trade. You give real money and you get something in the game for that real money, which incentivizes the spending of more money, right? And is perceived as not just for server maintenance, but as for generating revenue. Okay, so we got one of the defenses against this accusation by the THJ community is that it's a minuscule amount, and here we see it right here. It's only for convenient stuff such as illusions, server-wide buffs, and bags, which you can just farm the plat in a few hours and buy the echoes of memories from players. They also drop from mobs to spend on the donation shop. That's an interesting combination of words. Donation shop, right? As an English teacher, I'm not sure I find them to be very compatible. However, the point stands. The RMT is very minuscule relative to maybe what we're used to in other big games. Then why do it at all is what I feel like. Like, why cross that line? Just have donations then, if it's so minuscule. And the reason to cross that line is because, well, you get money that you might not have gotten otherwise. Um, well, are they seeking to make a profit? That's what this leads to. Are they trying to make more money so they get more money? Or do they legitimately just choose this system as a way to produce the money needed simply to cover the server costs? Let's check it out. Alright, so here we have a comment that it seems like a valid question, right? Is there any evidence of the devs taking any income? Or are they just rolling in all the donations back into the server? If they were taking income, then yes, 100%, that's no good. If the donations were just covering the costs, let me see if I can. I'm not sure there are any issues, as most EMU servers do the same thing. I think it's the popularity is more the problem with Daybreak games that is impacting the player base. And this brings me to another thing that I did want to talk about. I actually agree with this second point in there that probably what really is bringing the lawsuit is the fact that THJ was just so darn popular, had a huge player base, and that's probably what really brought this down, right? So, real money trading, I think the best argument that a THJ enthusiast could have is that, it wasn't even the real money trading anyway. It was just the fact that it was popular. Even if they didn't have the real money trading, this would have happened. Yes, my response to that is yes and no. Because I would have to say most probably yes. I agree with that it would have happened. But no, because of how it would have happened. The shape it would have taken, the tone of it, and the actions that the response, like a response would have happened, but maybe not like this. I think it did influence the nature of the response. Instead of getting open communication and multiple requests for cease and desist, or negotiations of some sort, or as what some of the commentators have been suggesting, Daybreak Games should just hire the developers and bring the server in, or make and you know then they should just do that. Well, that might have been a possibility they would have considered, um, if there was a respectful tone towards them in their ownership of the game files. If there was a more of a relationship there that with goodwill. Like for example, Secrets from the beginning has always been saying, "Look, we love Daybreak, and I play on the TLPs. You guys should still play on TLPs, and we're super grateful to them for, tacitly allowing us to have the server." And that was her attitude, and that's reflected in the way she shut down the server when this whole lawsuit happened. Now, the first point, is there any evidence of them taking income? Or are they just using the money to cover server costs? Well, let me think. I mean, evidence? Like, I don't. How would I have that evidence? But, like, some simple logic. I'm pretty sure their server costs are not much higher than any other. But they got this huge player base. They have the same venue for donations as the other servers, but then on top of that, they have the real money trading thing. I am like 90% sure that they're making more than they need to run the server. But see, that's where the gray area comes in, because how do you define server costs, right? Like the great charities of the world, they say they need a certain amount of money for operations, but then you find out operating a charity requires paying full-time employees. But it's a non-profit. You see what I'm saying? Um, I'm pretty sure with that huge player base and the level of enthusiasm I see out of THJ, we'll see what comes out, if anything comes out in terms of where they get an income. But I mean, I don't think my instincts tell me they're getting a bit more money than they needed for the bare necessities of maintaining the server. And I'm talking operational costs. I'm not talking, oh, well, it cost me so much time. I would have gotten a part-time job, except I had to put so much effort into making the server. So that's a cost of the server. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And now we're kind of getting to the meat of the matter, the comment that really inspired me to make this video. And I really want to thank Wow Freak for coming by. I hope my honest response to him didn't sour him towards me too much. It wasn't from a place of anger towards him, but let's just get into the comments here. So earlier I said that, hold on. Earlier I had said that THJ thinks they're going to win the lawsuit, and I cannot even imagine how. I cannot imagine how, because it's copyrighted material. I literally had no comprehension of how they not only thought they had a chance to win, but they were confident that they were going to win the lawsuit. Made no sense to me. And I really want to thank Wild Freak here for filling me in, because I'm not paying attention to the hero's journey, chats and announcements. But I guess, he's an enthusiast of it, so he did see what I did not, and here it is. The facts that they are talking about when they say that the facts are on their side is that, well, those are most likely the massive changes that they have done to the code. Those changes will lead to a fair use defense, which will most likely quash the lawsuit pretty quickly. That's very interesting, right? Pretty quickly. Like, not even like most likely win in the end, but will quash it pretty quickly. While yes, they are using some assets, the majority of the code has been changed, some of it so significantly that can almost be said to be unrecognizable. To which I replied, given the vast amount of visibly identical content in the game, I can't see how they would win based on that. This seems borderline delusionally optimistic. If that is their case, I hope they lose, because if they win, Daybreak is going to be so pissed that they will probably take it out on other emulators. Now, the I hope they win part probably came across not as I intended. So let me explain myself here. First off, the code being unrecognizable, I mean, what do I know? I'm just a layman of, a player. But like, come on, we can all log into the game. We find ourselves in any number of zones, which are the zones from EverQuest, playing any number of characters, which are the characters from EverQuest, of a particular class, which is the class from EverQuest, wearing models, which are the models of EverQuest, killing monsters, which are the monsters of EverQuest, with the names of those monsters being the same as the names of those monsters were in EverQuest. Like, I just don't see how. Like, maybe you look at the code and they put so much stuff in the code, you almost can't recognize it. Well, I've been learning coding, and, like, it's not that hard to change code so that it looks different, Daybreak, in my opinion, Daybreak would have to have the absolute worst lawyer in the world to lose this on that ground. It seems delusionally optimistic. I mean, you got the client, like, how many pieces of evidence would you have to play? Exhibit A. Well, let me log in to the game and let me show you logging into the live game. Let me go here and let me go here. What do you know? They look like the exact same place. Interesting. Like, I don't know though. They're confident, but I think their confidence is, I think they're just they're riding high on it, like the real estate market back in the day, sniffing a bunch of lines, and they're like, yeah, baby, we're going to the moon. I think that's what they're doing. It's my opinion. Because it doesn't make sense to actually be that confident that you're going to win this lawsuit. Am I crazy? All right, so WowFreak 982 got back to me and said, Sendrith, if you honestly, seriously hope that they lose on that front, that would be self-defeatist. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. I hope they lose on that front, I guess for twofold reasons. Number one, I think it's bullshit. It's EverQuest, and you're using it. I'm not. We've seen like this growing like hatred of Daybreak games. You're like not cool if you don't hate Daybreak games in the EverQuest community now, of the emulator community. It's like, yeah, Daybreak games, they do everything wrong and everything's so bad. And look, oh, another horrible TLP where they get literally everything wrong, And like, yeah, I guess it could be true to an extent. There's no TLP they could make that I would like, because I tried one, and it's not really because of the rule set that they put in. It's because of the players who turned it into a monetization scheme with the power leveling and the boxing and the perma camping, and it's also the assembly line. Like, okay, one expansion's out, get ready, do this, do this, do this. All right, next one, do, and then it just becomes heartless and pointless. Like, all the gear I'm getting is going to be useless in a month. It's going to take me a month to get it. Like, so that's what about the TLPs kind of turned me off. But I think that the anti-Daybreak thing got a little too far, and I think that's what allows people to be so blind about the basic fact that a company paid a lot of money for the rights to EverQuest, and we're just copying the files. Like, you gotta accept that. You gotta accept that at some point. And I think THJ is kind of not. And I can't respect that. Maybe call me old-fashioned. I can't respect that. Okay, let me give you an example. There's a song that I love called Shadowplay. And I first heard it by The Killers. And they nailed it, dude. If you don't know Shadowplay by The Killers, go look it up, listen to it. I found out later there was actually a Joy Division song. And I listened to the Joy Division original. Dude, I couldn't even get through it. I got like 30 seconds into it. Now I've developed more of a taste for Joy Division, listening to some of the other songs like Disorder and a couple others, and I like them now. I jam out to them. But at the time I was like, dude, Killers totally did it 10 times better. Does that mean that I'm okay with? And they changed it a lot. They changed it a lot. This is very different. The lyrics are the same, but they changed it so much. Does that mean that I think that they should just be able to like play that song without any regard for Joy Division? Absolutely fucking not. No way. No way. And I like the new version way more. I can't even listen to the old one. But it doesn't matter because they made it. Well, now, did Daybreak Games make EverQuest? No. They did not. But they did buy it. They did buy it. They have the legal right. And I think people are just like so gung-ho about THJ that it's a typical tribal thing. Like once you like get attached, like just like in politics, we see people get attached to their particular like political influencer online, and that influencer happens to be part of this viewpoint and this perspective of and the left or the right, and then they're just like they look at everything like, how can I look at this in such a way where uh, we're right, you know? And there's no more objectivity because the objective fact is THJ was stealing the copyrighted material. And then to come at me and be like, but they changed it so much that maybe now the law can't stop them. And to expect me to be like, yay, you know, is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. I know you love THJ, but dude, you're calling me a self defeatist. Well, I've got principles, and that's a violation of them. I'm not trying to be self defeatist, dude. I'm just against that stealing of copyrighted information. And if you change it enough to slip by. And he continues here to compare it to the only thing that prevents videos of games, streams of games, or movie reviews, commentaries from being removed from YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else is the fair use clause of the copyright laws. If they are unable to win using the fair use clause, as you hope, then it erodes that clause's protections for everybody else. Well, actually, I'm not sure that's true. I mean, if I play a single tiny little clip of a song on a YouTube video, my video gets that portion of it muted. You've all experienced this, right? Now, I think if the owner of the game, if I was playing like legit Daybreak EverQuest and I was streaming it or making videos of it, I think they could, if they decided to, take the videos down. They just simply allow it. But I don't really know, so maybe you're right. Fair use, but more importantly, videos of games and another copy of the game itself running and profiting from by like real game, you're really reaching and stretching to say that that's like they're in. I keep thinking of you remember that scene from Pulp Fiction when Vincent Vega and what's Samuel Jackson's character, his name I can't remember, but it's in the beginning when they're walking in the hall and they're arguing about Wynton Marsalis had thrown this guy out of a window, and all for massaging his wife's feet, right? You guys remember that? And they're arguing back and forth. If you don't remember it, go check it out. It's like Wynton Marsalis is Daybreak, right? A criminal, no doubt, but he's the boss, you know. And his wife is EverQuest, okay? And or the revenue. Let's say it's the revenue stream, whatever. So it's like he was just massaging her feet, you know, just massaging her feet. It's like, you know, but he knew it. He knew he crossed the line. Marcellus knew it. Anton knew it. Anton should have fucking known better. And that's really that's really the thorn in my side about THJ is they knew it. They knew it. And they're just like, whatever. And I don't know if it's coming from they were so inspired by the community and the awesome experience of EverQuest that they made, or if they're like, freaking Daybreak is worthless scoundrels, you know. But however they justify it. Which brings me to my next point that I want to address is this, like, some people are saying THJ is finally truly revived EverQuest, and Daybreak Games is destroying EverQuest, you know. If that's really what you believe, I do not. I tried THJ, and I don't know how many of you played EverQuest in any other form other than THJ, but it that having that much power in a single character deadened the world for me in a similar way to that I felt with in TLP. Like when I went to P99 from TLP, I was like, this world is so dangerous to little old me in it that it is awesome. And then the TLP, it was like I don't have to recover my corpse. I hardly lose any XP, and I'm so much stronger. I can kill so many mobs and survive so many things that I couldn't on P99. That I was like, the world thereby feels a little less, you know. So anyway, that's your own personal opinion, because you're so caught up in the high that is called Evercrack of that particular brand. That can't, like, none of this. There is no real argument against the more the actual legality of copyright involved, and then on top of that, the lack of respect towards Daybreak. And that doesn't even get me started on what makes me the most angry about what THJ has done is the complete and utter disregard for Daybreak and anything Daybreak might not do, just not only to them, but to other people who are also emulating Daybreak and that whom Daybreak has tacitly allowed to do so for whatever reason is unspoken, but it's felt. Like, as long as you guys are just trying to have fun and keep your own classic experience going that we don't want to create ourselves, and you're not using it to make money, um, which comes back to the idea that it's actually happened because they had too big of a player base. And that might be true. And what I'm talking about is mostly how they is not just about the RMT. It's also about how they responded to the lawsuit. Instead of being like, "We're sorry. Please allow us to continue doing this. What can we do to where you will allow us to continue doing this?" THJ is more like, "Well, fuck you, Daybreak. What? You can't make us stop using it. You know, bro. I'm sorry." So anyway, I wanted to share. Mostly, I wanted to share that why that THJ thinks they're going to win the lawsuit. It's because they think because they've changed the code so much of the game that the judge is going to say it's a different game now. I still can't even I still can't wrap my head around how anyone honestly believes that. But maybe they know more than I do. Maybe they know more about the law or about code than I do. But I probably know more about it than the judge. And I'm thinking that when he sees video game footage, he's going to find it to be almost the same game. Now, someone might be like, "But look at the code." And they might have an expert come in and say, "Well, you see, the code has been changed to this degree of a percentage." But I'm pretty sure the offensive counsel working for Daybreak should be able look at this monster and look at his name. Now look at this monster, look at his name. Do you see how they are identical? That is the case for nearly all the monsters in these games, in THJ and EverQuest. Now look at these characters, and look at the classes. It's just like, now let me show you the mechanics, And it's just like, I can't believe it, dude. I can't believe they actually think they're gonna win. Blows my mind. It truly does. I find myself in the boat with my buddy Raptoract1 here, who said there's no way THJ will survive this lawsuit. I don't like the laws, but they exist. I think it's most likely this affects all EQ, EMU in the future. And that's my number one gripe about this. Is like THJ was totally inconsiderate of the entire EQ emulator community and everyone who's just all THJ, THJ. They're not thinking about that enough, dude. Like, you don't know how fragile of a thing we had, and now it might be broken. Maybe when it's all shut down, and after you're done yelling at Daybreak Games about it, maybe you'll reflect and realize that THJ was equal or greater than bad guy in this situation to Daybreak Games. We really are relying on the good graces of Daybreak now, and I'm sure having to open a lawsuit is not going to help, right? Like, pushing them to that point is not going to help. Quorum have done the right thing and are in contact with Daybreak Games, but I still think it looks bleak personally. I am a little bit, I think Daybreak ultimately is a bit lazy, and no offense to Daybreak, but not lazy in the sense that they don't work hard, but I mean like they don't like to make these kinds of moves. So I think Quorum could actually, in my opinion, could open up again right now, and I don't think anything would happen to it personally. And I think when it opens after the lawsuit, I think it'll be fine as well. Um, Probably because this population is not what THJ's was. Yeah. So yeah, I also agree with Raptrack. THJ was probably too good to be true. Not that I played it myself, and I fear for those who don't get to enjoy it anymore. And one more thing here, I'm not going to show these comments because I'm honestly just too lazy to go look them up to put them on the video right now. But another thing was people are arguing like, well, all the other EQ emulators are also using the copyrighted material. So how is THJ any worse? Well, in regards to they simply pulled too many players, they're not. Except in how they responded to Daybreak coming at them. And that is huge. Saying, fuck you, Daybreak, horrible. And that alone is bad enough for me to want to say THJ, you know. But they also engaged in real money trade. However small, like if their real money trade was really just this little bit for these little things, then why do it at all? Just have the donations thing. Like why cross into that red territory where everybody knows it's like don't go there. It's like you're crossing a line there. Like we're gonna cross that line just for these little things. We're gonna make this huge offense just for these little things. It's like a cop busts you and he's like, it's like do not sell any. He busts you selling everything, all the hard stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's like, stop selling here. Like you can come here and you can have a party, you can play music, but don't sell any of that stuff. And then later on, you're like, well, my compromise will be I'll just sell some weed. Like, what's that cop gonna do when he comes back? He's gonna bust you. Like, why engage in the real money trading at all if you're gonna do, even if you're doing it just a minuscule? It's just like like. But even that aside, even if it really has nothing to do with the real money trading at all, and it's just because THJ was too awesome and Daybreak was jealous. That's the thing. Daybreak's just jealous because they're not doing anything right and they don't listen to their players. And the amount of like trying to justify copyright infringement and then blatant disregard of the will of the copyright holder, which puts into danger all the other EQ emulator servers. To justify that action is just like there's such a gosh, like no offense to anybody, just telling you how I feel about this. Like that's it. It's not about. I'm not hating the sender. I'm hating the sin, personally. And I think you guys are just addicted. But just lastly, real quick, I got a lot of comments like this, like THJ brought me back to EQ. The only reason I even considered playing a TLP was from THJ, and stuff like that. And it's almost like implying that Daybreak's totally wrong. Like, is that what we're supposed to take from this Fate of Times? Is that Daybreak actually got an increase in player base from THJ and they just didn't know it? And it's only because they did such a bad job on the rule set for the new TLP, that's why it failed. It's not because a lot of the player base that might have normally signed up for the TLP decided not to because they were playing on THJ. Like, I don't think you even believe that. That might be true for you, but I think in the vast majority it's the other way around. People are all into another game, so they don't do the TLP, right? So that's kind of it, you guys. I've been playing all EMU servers using copyrighted material. Playing THJ since December and haven't given them a penny. They have never put anything out requesting financial support that I am aware of. Bottom line is that THJ is way better than Live and Daybreak are totally salty as their product has gone to crap and has become completely unplayable as a new player. THJ is the best server for someone new to EQ to become part of the EQ fandom. Whoa. I entirely disagree. Like 100% opposite. You hop into THJ and you've never played EverQuest before, good luck. I was totally like, what am I doing here? and Wolfstar had to help me through a lot of stuff. You know where I found it super easy to figure out what to do? Daybreak's tutorial when you sign up on a live server and you start out in those mines and it guides you through and you're only playing one class and you start now with like one ability. Like this like the amount of stretching and it's all irrelevant. It's all irrelevant. Like you have to say that it's completely unplayable as a new player, like completely. Like what kind of language is this? And it's way better than live. It doesn't matter. You stole their copyrighted material. Daybreak Games was allowing emulators to run. They was allowing it to happen. They were not doing anything about it. And then they, for whatever reason, they asked you to stop. And instead of opening dialogue with them or trying to find some sort of agreement or, heaven forbid, just shutting down because they asked you to stop, instead of doing that, you gave them the middle finger. And now they're, which puts all the other servers at risk. Like, you just came back for THJ. Congrats on you. Some of us have been over here in EQ emulation for years, and all of that is going to be gone. All of it. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Anyway, this got way longer than I thought, and this is the last. I can't think. There's not going to be nothing else to say. I finally got to the heart of the matter, which is the last thing I think that was unresolved for me was why THJ thinks they're going to win the lawsuit. And the last thing that I was feeling that I hadn't quite said yet, that hadn't quite come out in words or even in thought, but that was a feeling inside me was like THJ's actions towards Daybreak and their attitude towards Daybreak has put the entire EQ emulation community at risk. So if people talk to me about the EQ emulation community and support THJ because of that, how about you don't support THJ because of your love for the EQ emulation community? Because it exists by the good grace of Daybreak Games. Unless you're right and I'm wrong, and all you have to do is change the code enough, and you're free. Anyway, you guys, peace.